Hi there, happy Friday, and welcome to today's Empowering Self and Soul Esteem sessions. So today I want to talk about developing personal accountability, personal responsibility, and what it takes to really do that. It's hard when we've let ourselves down many times, and we have this cycle of doing that. And often when we don't know what we're afraid to do new things, to try new things, because we always let ourselves down, that cycle that we're in. So it can put us into a place of procrastination often because we're afraid to try again. So when that happens and we let ourselves down often, it obviously destroys, that accountability within us. We begin to get into that mindset of I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, and shame. And when we are in an environment whereby we feel judged, or we have someone that we aspire to be like, it again puts a lot of pressure on the fact that we've again let ourselves down. So it's tricky in its human nature, and especially, as I say, when some major things in our lives have happened and we become stuck, unable to move forward. So I want to speak into this today because here's the thing, as a human being, we've spoken about archetypes many times, but our everyday behavior and who we are and the way that we relate and the actions and decisions that we make are only 5% of what people see, and how we are is only 5% of what's really going on. There's a whole in the shadow that we've spoken about. There's a whole 95% underneath all of that, the unconscious, subconscious of who we are. So only 5% of us is here, what we see and conscious. So that 95% that's underneath is powerful. It has a huge effect on our nervous system and who we are. We that's underneath everything, all underneath our being, our self, the ways that we behave emotionally, physically, and that's the hard part that we get to work with as we grow older and as we develop relationships and create the life that we want. So that's where our work is, this unconscious part of who we are. And we are always, because this part is unknown, it's in the shadow, we tend to try and control these parts of us that are not clear for us to see. And whilst ever we're trying to control things, we cause more problems. In fact, laws of nature, the laws of universe are that if we resist something, it tends to persist. It tends to keep on being a problem because we're not bringing it into the light. We're not bringing it into our consciousness. We're not facing it, moving through it. So as we become more experienced in life and we're more willing to take on the difficulties in life and bring things into the light, tell the truth, bring things into a place of in focus where we can actually do something about them, we're not going to move through them, and life will continue to be difficult. And this is our work, and it's all about telling the truth ultimately, which is a big word, isn't it? It's a big word. It can mean we can believe that we're being honest with ourselves, but underneath that are parts of ourselves that we spoke about last week that are in the shadow. There are parts of our character and our nature and reasons why we do things, because there's often when we do something, it's because we get a reward, and that's speaking to our inner child and that insecure part of us that needs some kind of acknowledgement. It's complex, and this is all that underlying unconscious that I just mentioned. So learning to develop accountability, learning to bring to be account when we say we're going to do something and actually doing it takes work. This is what our struggle, all of that unconscious part of who we are. And when we are struggling to do something, it could be a new diet or getting healthy, whatever it is. It helps us a lot to have someone else hold us accountable, because it is difficult to hold ourselves accountable, because we don't see those parts of us that are sabotaging and our triggers that others can see much clearer than we can. So it takes work, and it's good to invite someone else to help us to keep us in mindful, and to be able to work on these things, and someone who we can trust, that's going to be honest with us. And how can we do that? We can enlist a friend, a true friend. We can enlist a partner. We do have people in our lives who see us much clearer than we often see ourselves. And it's really about enlisting that support if we're totally struggling to do that on our own. And this is where coaching is really powerful, because a coach will see us for who we are with no judgment. And no judgment is key, because we hold so much judgment for ourselves. And this is what stops us from feeling whole, feeling we can move forward, trusting that we can do things differently going forward, and bring and make new choices, and bring these unconscious behaviors and things into the light. So enlisting support of someone else is powerful, because, and you know what, we cannot always do things on our own. We just cannot. You know, I would say we truly cannot. And whether we enlist the support of a person, or whether we reach that incredible place of actually letting go of complete resistance, and just really opening up to receiving guidance, our own guidance, you know, it's very difficult, because like I say, we're going to resist really, really bringing things into the light so that we can move forward. So in what ways can we develop personal accountability? We can enlist support. We can ask for someone to help us. We can also commit to doing things in our daily routine. We can set an alarm. We can to do something different, whether it's to bring into our awareness some consciousness about something that we need to shift out of our life. Truly, you know, whether it's, for example, you know, we want to start going to bed earlier. So we set an alarm so that it reminds us that, okay, we've got 1 hour, that's our trigger, it's time to go to bed. And we set ourselves little goals, little intentions, things that we can achieve like that. And slowly but surely, we begin to, you know, make those changes. And over time, we begin to feel better. We actually physically begin to feel better and more accountable towards ourselves, because we've done something we've set out to do. So it's about those little incremental goals, like little by little by little. It's not about declaring that's it. You know, I am quitting smoking and that's it forever. We're kind of setting ourselves up to fail when we declare something so huge. It's good to do things little by little by little, to develop the stamina, to develop the accountability in ourselves, to see something through, to complete something that we've said we're going to do. And you can do that. We can do that as a short time frame. One of the best ways I did it was I enlisted support, because I was never going to do it on my own. And in fact, it wasn't even my idea. I knew, and it's something that I'm not doing now, absolutely. And I have a million excuses why not. But I, at one point, not so long ago, a couple of years ago, maybe it was a bit longer, but I enlisted support with my health, with my exercise, by getting a personal trainer, someone who I could see two, 3 times a week, to get me out there, to get me fit again. And at some point down the line of seeing, and it was a good friend of mine, seeing him 2-3 times a week, he turned around and he said, okay, I think you can run 20K. Now, it was never in my imagination that I could do something like that. But I trusted him, that he trusted me enough to do this. Like, he saw it in me. I didn't see it in me. And I said, okay, let's do this. And I trained regularly. I followed his instruction and I did it. And after several months of training, I did it and I felt amazing. And that confidence piece that came from that someone could see me, that someone saw that in me, even when I didn't see that in me, was a huge confidence boost. It really got me to see that I can do anything I want when I get out of here and set the intention. I did the same in a different way with quitting smoking. We can all do this. And for some of us, it's a process. For some of us, it's step by step. But what I saw with, and what I know with building accountability, it comes from self-esteem, developing self-esteem, accountability, knowing that I'm strong enough, I am worthy enough to do what I say I'm going to do. And it just takes declaration, and it takes step by step by step, little incremental goals to develop that for a long term. And over time, that builds. And it's actually really, really good practice once that little goal is reached, to set another one and to set another one, because it keeps us accountable for ourselves, truly. So I'm bringing that into our awareness today because it is a big self-esteem. It really supports us with becoming, feeling, knowing, reminding ourselves that we are actually totally worthy. You know, we underlying everything, all in the shadow, with that 95%, that unconscious part of our being, are all these kind of triggers and confusions and shadow parts of our character and emotions, beliefs that we are not good enough, we are not worthy enough. And that's our work, and that's where we get to really develop our self-esteem and just really truly know that we are enough, who we are. And it's time for us all to really start working on that, because with that, it's, you know, underneath all of that, we spoke about it last week, is this child, this inner child that we struggle in our daily lives, being alone, you know, to feel insecure, to worry about coming out and speaking about something like, you know, me speaking to you. If my self-esteem was, if my child was upset and triggered in any way, it would be very, very difficult for me just to be open and honest and speak in this way. I've built my self-esteem. It takes work, and it takes daily work. And sometimes it's really, really hard to use our voice and communicate how we feel. The work, that 95% of what's in the shadow of who we are, is in our self-esteem, the chakras of the body. It's in the body. This work comes from closing our eyes, being present in the body, and just being present and just being quiet. It's about shutting out the noise and the distractions And that's all it takes, to just being open to just listening to that inner voice, that inner guidance. So we can enlist that support with accountability from a friend, from a coach. Like I had a fitness coach to see me, to get me to that point of reaching that 20K goal, which was crazy, which wasn't even created by me, that intention. We can enlist support by others, from others. And we can enlist support from our own inner guidance by closing our eyes, being still, just being quiet and trusting that we have all the answers that we need, because we truly do. We truly, truly do. And I'd love for you to just try something this weekend, whether it's for half a day, whether it's for a whole day, if you have the luxury of just doing this. And if you're not already doing this, I just invite you to try this for one day and see what happens. Because I think you'll find that magic will happen. What I'd like you to do is to get up in the morning, declare, write down, sit down, be quiet. Close out the noise, shut out the noise, close your eyes, be with yourself for a few minutes. It can be 5 minutes. Just be with your breath, be still. And when you're ready to feel present and just open your eyes, take a piece of paper, your journal, a pen, and just write down, start writing, and start the sentence with something like, today, on this day, I am open to trusting whatever guidance I receive, moment by moment by moment. And just be with the truth of that declaration. Be open to spending half a day, a full day, with that in mind. So what it means is that you don't plan anything. You don't plan anything. You put down your pen. You get out of the automatic mode, the monkey mind of, oh, well, normally on a Saturday I go and walk the dog. Normally I go to the supermarket or the market. Normally I now go and make a cup of tea. Now, normally, just be open to whatever thought comes into your mind and follow that thought. The action that comes with that thought, trust it, and then do it again in the next thought. Whatever thought comes in, be open to receiving that thought. When that thought comes in, like, oh, Sophie's just come into mind, I've been meaning to call her, I'm going to call, and just pick up the phone and call her. And that will lead to a conversation. It will lead to another thought. It will lead to the next bit of guidance, which will lead to the next bit of guidance. Be open to receiving every thought that comes in to your being, and let your thoughts guide your actions for a whole day, for half a day, whatever you set that intention as being. You've written it down, you've declared it on paper, and then allow that to guide you for that half a day, that day, whatever your declaration is, and see what magic comes out of that. I really suggest that you then, at the end of that half day or at the end of your day, again, pick up that piece of paper and pen and reflect upon how that went. Like, what was that? And if you decide, and if at some point you realize that, okay, my routine kicked in, I stopped listening to the messages, I started getting on with blah, 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 then write about it. Be aware of that. Bring in that consciousness of how you checked out and went back into being into the normal routine that you always have. Be with that, because it is a really powerful thing to do. I experimented with that at one point about a year ago, before we were back into the craziness of life now. that we, it's almost like COVID never happened. And it was really amazing, because what happened was I had the thought to do something, and what in fact happened was I focused, laser focused on one thing, completed that one thing, and in fact it was something that was on my to-do list, but I allowed, like, the most important task that I got to do came in and directed me. It's really powerful, and it's fun, and it's guidance. It's true guidance. It's incredible what comes out of this. So I really invite you to go with that, because it creates trust in ourselves, our higher guidance, our inner guidance, that is the best guidance. And that builds extraordinary trust, accountability in ourselves. And that's the best accountability we can ever have, because it reinforces the fact that we can be a whole person. We can be accountable for our actions. We can complete what we intended to set out to do. We trust. It builds trust in ourselves, and that is everything, my friends. It's everything. Accountability comes from within, and sometimes we just need someone to enlist support, to remind us, did we do that? To see us to help us know that we can, if we, to be accountable to someone else, like with the personal trainer that I was talking about. I had to hold him in my consciousness to be accountable to him, so I wouldn't let him down. I declared I was going to do this. I enlisted his support. And once we can declare that, and whether it's on paper, whether it's with our own self, we can do it over and over and over again. It just takes declaration and enlisting the support of that declaration. If we're going to do it on our own, we have to shut down this. We have to go within and give ourselves the opportunity to declare something today for ourselves. So it's powerful, and I really, really invite you to try that this weekend. Declare it. Don't set any other intention other than what you declare that moment on a piece of paper, that you're going to follow your own guidance. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. And it builds on self-accountability, self-esteem, self-trust. It's powerful. So today I'm going to finish with opening doors within, our little meditation for today. I haven't read this already. This is from Eileen Caddy's little book, and this is for May 27th. Every soul needs to withdraw from the world from time to time to find that peace which passes understanding. Every soul needs to be stabilized, and it can come about only in peace and stillness. Once that inner stability has been established, you can go anywhere and do anything without the outer chaos and confusion affecting you in any way. It is going into the secret place of the Most High. It is finding your oneness within me, which enables you to go on when you feel you have come to the end of your tether and cannot go to a step further. It is those steps taken into the unknown in faith in my strength, which work wonders and which change lives. It is those steps which enable the impossible to become possible and bring down my kingdom on earth, that glorious new heaven and new earth. Move always towards this end. Change and change quickly when change is needed. I am with you always. Draw upon me. And that just reconfirms everything I just spoke about. And from that true innate guidance, that being still, trusting within, we're empowering the soul to take over the self-esteem that we are building. The self-esteem. The soul is always there. It's behind everything. It's our grace. So we get to trust that. It's truly our grace. And it's there always to guide us, like really. We get to truly work with that and trust that. Trust that inner knowing. It's powerful. And a couple of 3 months, no, yeah, maybe 3 months ago, I trusted a thought that came in. And I'll talk about this perhaps another session, but I trusted that thought and I acted upon that thought, that guidance, like, okay, and I just trusted it and I took action upon it. And in the last 3 months, I've been watching the guidance come in. Things have come, things have just come. New occasions have just, I opened up the floodgates of guidance to come. And in the last 3 months, it's less than, my life has completely changed. It's a story for another session, but we are so guided. It is powerful when we are open to receiving. And that guidance is out there for you. So I truly recommend, for those of you that just jumped on, go back and listen to what I just said. Declare it. Take half a day this weekend to make your declaration to just be open to receiving the guidance. And that guidance, that thought comes into, it just begins to allow new things to come in. It always starts with the thought. Try it. It's magic. I'll leave it at that. Have an amazing weekend. I shall see you next Friday on Empowering Our Self and Soul Esteems. Have a great weekend. Sending you much love.